What if I told you that the most successful people in the world all share one secret weapon? Not talent. Not luck. Not even intelligence. It's something far more powerful, something that can transform your entire life in ways you never imagined. And by the end of this story, you'll discover exactly how to claim it for yourself. Marcus stood in front of his bathroom mirror at 2 in the morning, gripping the edges of the sink until his knuckles turned white. Tomorrow was the biggest presentation of his career. 3 years of work, thousands of hours, all leading to one moment in front of the company's top executives. And he was absolutely terrified. "You're going to fail," the voice in his head whispered with cruel certainty. "They'll see right through you. You're not good enough." He'd heard that voice his entire life. In school, when he hesitated to raise his hand despite knowing the answer. In college, when he watched others take opportunities he was too afraid to pursue. In his first job, when he let others take credit for his ideas because he didn't believe he deserved recognition. Now, at 32 years old, Marcus was still that same scared kid, hiding behind a mask of competence while his inner world crumbled with doubt. But what Marcus didn't know was that tomorrow would change everything. The presentation started exactly as Marcus feared. His hands trembled as he clicked through the first slide. His voice cracked. In the audience of 50 executives, he could feel their eyes boring into him, judging, waiting for him to fail. Then it happened. The projector died with an electrical pop, plunging the screen behind him into complete blackness. His carefully crafted slides, his safety net, all gone in an instant. Panic flooded through Marcus like ice water. This was it. The moment that would confirm every horrible thing he'd ever believed about himself. He froze, his mind blank, the silence in the room crushing him. 50 pairs of eyes stared at him, waiting. But then something strange occurred. In that moment of total vulnerability, something inside Marcus broke. Not in defeat, but in revelation. He looked at those 50 faces and suddenly a question flashed through his mind: what if their opinion of me doesn't define who I am? It was such a simple thought, yet it hit him with the force of a freight train. "You know what?" Marcus said, his voice stronger than expected. "I don't need that screen. Because what I'm about to share with you, I know by heart. I've lived this project for 3 years, and I'm going to tell you exactly why this is going to revolutionize our company." And then he did something he'd never done before. He stopped performing. He stopped trying to be perfect. He simply shared what he knew. Without notes, without slides, Marcus spoke from a place of absolute conviction. He told stories about the research that had kept him up at night. He painted vivid pictures with his words. He answered questions with clarity that surprised even himself. And for the first time in his life, Marcus wasn't performing for approval. He was simply being himself, trusting that he was enough. When he finished, the room erupted in applause. The CEO herself stood up and shook his hand. "Marcus," she said, "that was the most powerful presentation I've seen in 20 years. But the real victory wasn't the applause. It was the fundamental shift that had occurred inside him." That night, Marcus sat in his apartment, trying to understand what had happened. How had he gone from paralyzed with fear to commanding that room? He pulled out his journal and began writing. And as he wrote, the truth revealed itself. Self-confidence wasn't something you were born with or without. It wasn't a personality trait that some people had and others didn't. It was a skill. A muscle. Something that grew stronger every time you used it. Marcus realized that for years, he'd been waiting to feel confident before taking action. But he'd had it backwards. Action came first. Confidence followed. Every successful person he'd ever admired hadn't started with confidence. They'd built it, step by step, failure by failure. They'd felt the fear and moved forward anyway, and each time they did, they proved to themselves that they could. Over the next 6 months, Marcus applied this revelation to every area of his life. He started small. Speaking up in meetings, even when his heart pounded. Sharing his ideas, even when that inner voice screamed they were stupid. Introducing himself to strangers at networking events, even when every instinct told him to hide. And each time he pushed through the discomfort, something magical happened. The fear got quieter. The voice of doubt lost its power. Not because the fear disappeared, but because Marcus learned he could act despite it. He discovered that confidence wasn't about never feeling afraid. It was about refusing to let fear make his decisions. He learned that every rejection was just data, not a verdict on his worth. Every failure was feedback, not a final judgment. Marcus began separating his identity from his outcomes. A failed project didn't make him a failure. A mistake didn't make him a mistake. He was learning, growing, becoming. 1 year after that presentation, Marcus found himself mentoring a young intern named Sarah. She reminded him of his former self, brilliant but paralyzed by self-doubt. "How do you do it?" she asked. "How are you so confident?" Marcus smiled, thinking about the journey he'd been on. "Sarah," he said, "confidence isn't something you find. It's something you build. And you build it the same way you build anything, one action at a time. Every successful person you see started exactly where you are now. Scared. Uncertain. Doubting themselves. But here's what they understood that most people don't." He leaned forward. They understood that confidence comes from keeping promises to yourself. Every time you say you're going to do something and you follow through, even when it's hard, especially when it's hard, you're making a deposit in your confidence bank. Every time you face a fear and survive it, you're proving to yourself that you're stronger than you thought. The secret weapon of successful people isn't that they don't feel fear. It's that they've trained themselves to act anyway. Marcus looked Sarah in the eye. "Here's what I want you to do. Tomorrow, do one thing that scares you. Just one. Speak up in a meeting. Share an idea. Introduce yourself to someone you admire. It doesn't matter what it is. Just do it. And then the next day, do it again. Because every single time you keep a promise to yourself, every single time you act in spite of fear, you're not just building confidence. You're becoming someone new. Someone stronger. Someone who doesn't need permission from the world to believe in themselves." Sarah nodded, tears in her eyes. "What if I fail?" Marcus grinned. "Then you'll have proof that failure doesn't kill you. And that's worth more than any success." Today, Marcus runs his own company. He speaks on stages around the world. People often tell him how naturally confident he seems. And every time, he thinks back to that night in front of the bathroom mirror, gripping the sink, consumed by fear. The difference between that Marcus and this one isn't talent or luck. It's simply this: he decided to keep moving forward, even when he was terrified. He decided to trust himself, even when he had no proof he should. He decided to build confidence through action, one uncomfortable step at a time. And if he could do it, so can you. Because confidence isn't the starting point. It's the destination. And the journey begins with a single decision, the decision to act despite your fear, to try despite your doubt, to believe in yourself even when no one else does. Your life is waiting. Not for you to feel ready. Not for you to feel confident. But for you to decide that you're worth the risk of trying. The mirror is waiting. What will you see when you look into it tomorrow? Will you see someone who let fear win? Or someone who decided they were worth fighting for? The choice has always been yours. And the time to choose is now.